ang pinaka-importante, the basic po na kailangan intindihin ay paano yung Office of the Vice President, kung ano yung nararapat na ibigay sa kanya para according sa kanyang mandato. Basic yon. Ibibigay po talaga yan. Halimbawa, yung salaries ng kanyang mga empleyado, kailangan talagang bigyan mo yan. Diba? Kung ano po yung kailangan ng kanyang opisina para tumakbo. Of course, kailangan mo yung sinasabi po nating MOEs. Kung ano man yung asset, halimbawa, pag-aari ng opisina na kailangan i-maintain, talagang ibibigay mo yun. As to the other programs na pinopropose po, kaya nga po importante talaga na dumalo ang isang head ng agency para siya po yung mag-explain sa Kongreso. Dahil unang-una, hindi po na-involve ang membro ng House of Representatives sa pagdedetermina nitong mga priorities na to. Sila po yung nagdetermine ng priorities na to. And definitely, since hindi po alam at hindi po involved ang House of Representatives sa pag-prepare itong budget na to, naturally kayo pong tatanong at sila po ang mag-i-explain sa atin. Now, again, I'd like to borrow the words of our good friend here, a former seminarian, my good friend Congressman Jude Asidre. Ang maganda po sa House of Representatives is a deliberative body. Hindi po yan dinidesisyonan ng isang tao. So kung ano po yung wisdom na nakakarami, ay yun po yung makikita nating resulta, kung ano man yung magiging resulta pagdating po sa budget. Hindi lang ho sa opisina ng Vice President, opisina po ng ibang ahensya. Pangalawa, kung ano po yung ma-approve dito sa House of Representatives, aakyat naman po yan talaga sa bicameral conference. So anything can happen. Anything is possible.
Kung siya, follow-up lang po, kasi mismo nanggaling sa bibig ni Vice President na ipinakuubaya ko na sa desisyon ng Kongreso yung budget ng Vice President. Kayo po ang magdedepensa sa plenary. Kung hindi siya tatalo, kasi sabi nyo, kailangan silang magpaliwanag dahil silang nakakaalam.
Yun po yung sa pre-budget.
Paano nyo i-depensa sa plenary yung budget ng Vice President? Kung darating yung ganong yun po.
Na alin na hindi siya pupunta. Well, tayo naman is kung ano whatever documents that we have in our possession, we will use that. I mean, I cannot extend beyond what is by my duty kasi hindi naman ho ako ang spokesperson ng opisina ng Vice President. So I cannot infuse my own opinion and my personal stand on matters relating to her budget. What I can give as a way of response to those members who may have some questions about the budget is I will base my answers on the documents that I have in my possession.
If I may add, saglit lang. Just to clarify, for the people to understand what the Vice President is asking for, she is asking for standalone social services funds. Basically, hindi ho katulad siguro sa amin, sa Kongreso, no? At sa iba pang mga kahit local government, we all defer to the funds that are already in the frontline departments. Hindi ho kami gumagawa ng sarili naming mga programa at hindi po yun standalone funds. What the Vice President is asking are standalone programs which she will have exclusive control. Hindi ho katulad sa congressman, kami ho, wala ho kaming pondo, meron lang ho kaming dun sa test, sa tupad, papadala namin dun, sa DSWD. They own the funds. They manage the funds. This time, the Office of the Vice President is asking for their own exclusive funds. Kaya, hindi ho simpleng bagay ang hinihingi ng Office of the Vice President. Hindi ho simpleng pondo katulad nung meron po yung ibang mga... Ang labas po nito, magkakaroon ho talaga ng duplication with existing standalone programs. At sana po malinaw po sa taong bayan natin, hindi po na pinagbabawalan natin o inaagaw natin sa Vice Presidente ang resources necessary kasi parang meron sinasabing mawawalan ang taong bayan, yung mapasaan pupunta yung nangangailangan, nandyan naman ho talaga yung mga programa ng ating administrasyon, ng ating mga line agencies.
Thank you. Let us excuse Kongsia who will be attending a meeting. Marisol Abdurrahman, ma'am, please proceed with your questions. Okay, thank you, thank you. Okay, Kenneth Basila from Business World, you are recognized.
realignment po. Okay, ulitin ko po ba? Okay. What are our considerations to ensure that allocative efficiency is maintained throughout the budget deliberations despite tight fiscal space po? What areas of the budget do we see potential realignment?
We've heard the President loud and clear during the SONA, no? Can we keep the budget as it is? So that's the starting point. We're trying to understand the mindset of the executive, bakit ganito yung allocation, bakit ganitong amounts, and based on the efficiency of the utilization of the previous years, and also the overall socio-economic requirements of the country, looking forward to the economic goals that we're looking at. Yun talaga ang magiging parameters namin. But we are heeding the call of the President to make sure na as much as possible, we will keep the suggested, the proposed budget as prepared by the administration. But nonetheless, of course, we will not be remiss in our duty if we do not look at what are the needs of the people, the economic targets that we have, and also the utilization capacity of the agencies based on the reports that they have made during the budget hearings.
Okay po, a second question lang. Lawmakers during the budget deliberations expressed willingness po kasi to increase the budgets of certain agencies. How would the House ensure that such efforts won't risk yung government's efforts when it comes to employing fiscal discipline and consolidation po?
I wish nandito si Vice Chair Jill Bongalon, no? He's the one who's more adept with this. But I will have this to say, no? We have every confidence that the economic team, especially the economic team, because we were talking about fiscal discipline, has instituted the right safeguards and will make sure that there is clear oversight over the appropriations and the utilization of the budget that we will be able to approve. It's very good that it's a good situation that we have open communication with the executive. The leadership has, we are both on the same page with the administration. So we are able to anticipate the needs. We are able to go beyond the present situation, kung saan talaga papunta to, looking at what's going to be the goals next year, the year after next. Ang maganda lang dito is, nakikita naman namin ang efforts, especially nung economic team, to ensure that there is responsive utilization of the budgets that will be approved.
Okay. And how could the budget addressing growing concerns over inflation and the rising costs of living po? And ano po yung mga policy interventions that we have in mind so that we could spur inclusive economic growth nga po amid external headwinds po?
Well, if you notice, we have a people-centered budget right now. We're looking at really strengthening social services, and that's really, if you put it all together, that would be a form of social investment in the people. Education will continue to be one of the top priorities, even the biggest share in the budget. That would be very important. We also have our interventions in healthcare. So kung nakikita mo, lahat papunta sa towards making sure that the people are served better, especially with more resources being allocated to key agencies who look after social welfare and social services. Ano yung first part ng tanong mo?
Ayun po, how could the budget address nga yung inflation and concerns over the rising costs of living?
Again, we're taking the cue from the President. Sabi niya, hindi, kahit gaano kaganda yung mga statistics natin, no? Inflation will remain to be one of the key factors. So, hindi naman siguro makokorek ng budget lang ang inflation. But at least, with a people-centered budget, a budget that looks after the needs and the requirements of the people to a better life, we are able to somewhat caution the effects, mitigate the effects of inflation. Inflation will have to be addressed by a wide range of interventions, including economic reforms, regulation, of course, is going to be important. And nakita niyo naman ang Kongreso binubusisi talaga natin mula sa anti-agriculture smuggling, all the safeguards that are in place para we'll make sure that even infrastructure, so that we can bring the cost of products and services much lower.
And okay.
Dagdagan ko lang, sir. Okay ka pa, Kong Jun, para tayo nag-exam. Hindi, seriously, pakikita naman natin yun sa SONA, no? Nandun po yung mga LEDAC priority measures. Doon po umiikot talaga yan kung paano huhulmain ng buo yung budget para mas maintindihan po ng tao. Kasi yung LEDA priority measures, hindi lang naman po yan batas na ipapasa. Centered po yan sa mga nakikita po natin na problema po ng ating bansa, which is, kung titignan niyo po yung mga programa ng national government, talagang centered tayo sa grassroots, sabi nga ni Kong Jude, yung lalo sa social services, no, binababa po. So basically, it sends the message na kailangan sagutin yung mga problema na ito, yung mga tanong na ito. Yun nga po, yung nag-rise na pagtaas po ng ating mga gastusin, mga basic commodities, basic needs. Yung sabi nga po ni Kong Jude, hindi po yun ang sagot, hindi po yun ang main na sagot, yung budget po. Pero nakakatulong nga po siya at para siyang meron kaming guide dahil diyan sa mga LEDAC priorities na yan kung saan po mas dapat ilaan yung pondo na kailangan.
Last question na po. Okay. So, bilang mainit na issue nga yung remittance ng PhilHealth ng 89.9 billion sa National Treasury po. Ano po yung position natin on yung sa provision nga po na ito sa 2024 GAA allowing GOCCs to remit money back to the national government? And should the provision still be included for next year's budget?
As far as my understanding po, no, it's purely limited to the subsidies extended to the PhilHealth. We are definitely not touching any of the premiums. And for the other GOCCs that have that provision. So as far as we're concerned po, it's all about the subsidy granted by the national government, and seeing as when they are unable to utilize, that's when there's that drawback provision po, no. So that's the one thing that I think is common amongst all of it, and I think it will still be retained. But of course, I would be the absolute worst person to answer for that, minority po. But I think that's the general consensus po of Congress.
But I think it's a very effective way of instituting fiscal discipline. Diba? Where if we continue to let all these subsidies left unchecked, no, we will end up only, I'm not saying naman, pero this is the likely scenario, we're only going to keep on funding inefficiency. Diba? Kung hindi rin naman nila magastos ng maayos, and it's occupying a big chunk of it's keeping a big chunk of the national budget. I think I trust our economic managers that they have a better appreciation of what needs to be done in that respect.
And on our part, syempre, kung may legislative support na kailangan, kung ano man ang recommendation ng mga economic managers natin, then we will have to, again, study. But if it's for the improvement of the country and bettering the lives of the people, then the House of Representatives will give its utmost support. Salamat.
Thank you, Kenneth. We have questions from Lines Capante of GMA Online.
Hello. Ay. Yeah. Good morning. Good morning po. I just have one question kasi yung isa ko natanong na. Sir, given what happened August 27 and yesterday, the unprecedented nature of events, is the Vice President worthy of courtesy from the House of Representatives? Why or why not for all? Thank you.
Well, the Vice President is the second highest official of the land. We may disagree with her, we may feel slighted by her personal actions, but nonetheless, we are duty-bound to uphold the Constitution, and the Constitution accords her that position in our system of governance. I don't see any reason why we should. We may have disagreement. We should not. We may have disagreements with the person, but we are all elected officials of the people, and the Vice President is an elected official of the nation. So we will give her the courtesy that the office demands and the office requires. I think itong usapin ng pagbibigay ng kortesiya, hindi ito tungkol sa taong pinagbibigyan ng kortesiya lamang. Ito po ay reflection kung anong klase din ng mga tao na silang magbibigay ng kortesiya. So I think I trust that the members of Congress are honorable men and women, and we will, on our honor, afford the Vice President the respect and the courtesy that her office demands.
And still, courtesy begets courtesy. Yun lang naman po. Ako rin naman po, I would agree with one of my mentors, Nani Fight. Ganyan kami dito. But to be, of course, personally, on a personal level, siguro yung kaya kong ibigay na courtesy is 20% na lang. Kasi nung mga nakaraang budget hearing naman po, nagbigay naman po kami ng utmost respect and courtesy. So may 20% pa po sa akin.
As a general principle, no, if you're talking about courtesy, definitely, sama na rin natin, courtesy and respect. We will always have that for the office of the Vice President. We are advocates, definitely. We support a harmonious inter-branch relationship, and that will always be one of our pillars as we work here in the Congress. But if you're talking about courtesy in the technical sense, yung palaging sinasabing na inter-branch courtesy, which will be invoked in the hearings in relation to the budget, I think this has to be tempered by the needs and our constitutional mandates and duties. So, yun na po.
Thank you, Lenesca. Billy Vegas from Abante Politico. You are recognized.
Magandang tanghali po. Kahapon po na-raise ni Kong Rog yung 53 million na ginagastos ng OVP sa rent ng satellite offices. Ba't daw po yung tingog naman ang dami nyo ring offices kung saan? Actually, habang nagpe-present si Kong Rog, binibilang ko nga they have 12 offices and 53 million ang rental. Tingog, we have 137 offices right now. We're not paying any rental. Diba? We're working in support, together with our partners, allies, volunteers. Ito si Kong, may isa siyang Tingog Center na tinutulungan. Because kami, klaro naman sa amin sa Tingog kung anong gusto naming mangyari. Gusto namin maipalapit ang serbisyo ng gobyerno sa mga tao. Minsan naging katuwaan na lang, no, yung mga politiko, ang daling lapitan, ang hirap hanapin. Tumatawa si Paolo. Pero, joke lang naman yun, pero minsan malaman, no? So kaya pinagsisikapan natin na mailapit ang serbisyo at ayaw naman natin one time lang. Kaya nakikipag-ugnayan tayo sa mga kaibigan natin, katulad yung ibang district congressman, yung ibang mga mayors. Minsan nga, kahit mga kasamaan, kahit nga classmate ko sa college, minsan napakiusapan ko na magbukas ng tanggapan. At wala po doon ang pondo, wala po doon wala ho kaming stand-alone funds. Ano pong ginagawa ng mga Tingog Center? Kami po ang nagpre-prepare doon sa mga beneficiaries kung ano ang kailangan nilang i-prepare na dokumento, i-connect namin sa DSWD, sa DOLE, sa DOH, or sa ospital para malaman nila kung paano sila mas matutulungan pa. So, malaking pagkakaiba po yung mga satellite offices ng Office of the Vice President at mga Tingog Centers. I can only hope na meron kaming 53 million na pambayad. Pero sa totoo, wala ho kaming binabayaran kahit piso para sa mga tanggapan po ng Tingog Party List.
Sorry. Sigundahan ko lang kasi yung Tingog Center po sa amin sa La Union, sa bahay po ng lolo ko. Hindi po siya dedicated na opisina. But we have a small space and we have a joint desk for Tingog and of course our district office. Ganun po kadami ang kaibigan ni Kong Jude na meron pong espasyo ang Tingog Center sa different satellite offices po. At wala po kami binabayaran na. Wala pong renta. Wala din po. Pagkakaibigan lang po talaga sa kamustahan. Which is, siguro, yun po ang foundation ng pagiging pagtulong sa tao is meron kang isang kaibigan.
In addition na po siguro, no? While we understand that there will be that point of comparison between the OVP and then yung Tingog, which na-answer naman ni Kong Jude, in the words of good PH Senator, no, you cannot compare apples to oranges. Let's just look at the answer of COA. Compare the office of the Vice President to the previous Vice Presidents. Wala pong ginawang satellite offices in the previous administration. So you're still comparing 53 million to zero. Kahit na hindi party list po ang i-compare natin. And where is it more likely to be compared? If you look at the basis of which the satellite offices and extension offices were made, parang it's patterned after regional offices ng ating administration, of the national government. So bakit po parang may sariling bureaucracia yung Office of the Vice President? I think that's the more pressing concern, and that's where I was coming from with my interpellation. Yun lang po.
For the record, yung Office of the Vice President dati, yung kay VP Lenny, was about 300,000 po ang renta nun. VP Lenny, 300,000 sa Quezon City compared to the 54 million, yeah. Hindi satellite. Hindi one-rider satellite office. Magkakaroon na din daw po soon. Yung ating mga pit stop sa Kong Lodge, baka pwede ano. Meron na rin, di ba? Pwede mag-offer doon ng kape sa katubig para po sa mga nagmomotor, di ba? Well, good idea yun, no? Thank you.
Thank you. Marisol Abdurrahman from GMA 7.
Sir, pardon me for asking, pero yung Tingog, what do you represent po? Anong party list po ito, sir?
Well, ang Tingog po ay party list. Originally, nanggaling talaga kami sa Region 8, Leyte and Samar. But, you know, since naswerte naman tayo na we have more than one representative, at nakita rin naman natin na ang sitwasyon ho ng Leyte and Samar, yung pagkawalan ng boses, pagkawalan ng Tingog, ay hindi lang exclusive sa situation po ng region namin, but it's a common experience in many regions kung saan, sabi nga nila, less than Manila-centric, but more of a regional-based, region perspective ang meron tayo. Yun po yung isinusulong ng Tingog Party List. Making sure na ang ating mga rehiyon, ang ating mga kanayunan, ay may parehong access sa mga serbisyo ng gobyerno, at hindi lang ho dun sa access, but also the same level of participation when policies are being shaped, no, in the national arena. Kaya kung mapapansin ninyo, malaking prioridad ng Tingog itong dalawa. Una, yung mga Tingog centers kung saan napapalapit natin ang mga serbisyo ng gobyerno sa mga tao, or at least na-channel natin ang mga tao doon sa serbisyo ng gobyerno. At pangalawa, our legislative record would show our strong participation in really shaping national policy, not just from the regular or the conventional perspective, but most especially from the perspective of the countryside.
Yeah, and granting there's no rental pay, so I just wonder why you need to have 100 offices for the party list.
And that's because we want to be where the people are.
Pero syempre dapat priority. I'm from Samar, by the way.
Yes, in Samar we have more than in Region 8 we have more than 25 centers na po.
And they belong to office.
The same all over. The reason,
But at least, sir, at least 50% of those offices are concentrated in Region 8.
as I said kanina, sir, ma'am, yung mga centers po kasi natin, they are not the end point. The end point will be the government agency concerned. Now, we tried expanding to almost every town, but in the end, nagklaklag lang dun sa end point. And for reasons of efficiency, we decided na kung nasan yung end point, like every province, wala akong region, ma'am, na every province may Tingog center. Region 8 lang po. And volume of resources, all of whatever resources is afforded to us in terms of assistance is in Region 8. So 20-30% lang yung outside. Pero syempre, mas maraming rehiyon. We only have centers in 30 provinces now. Not everyone, not all provinces. Magagalit na si Kong Rod sa amin. Pero sa Region 8 kasi, hindi ho namin pwedeng lagyan. We tried. Putting in so many municipalities. Ang problema, nag-choke point dun sa endpoint. Kasi hindi naman kami ang ultimately magre-release ng assistance. Yung agency naman. Yun po yung pagkakaiba sa Office of the Vice President. Kasi gusto nila, sila mismo ang mag-aabot. We don't want that because that's not our role. Our role is to enable lang, to inform the people what the services that they can access. So dun sa checkpoint. So it's really a logistical concern. But nonetheless, ma'am, in every town, meron tayong tinatawag na help desk. Hindi siya office, help desk siya. Doon po nagsasubmit ng requirements para pagdating niya sa schedule niya sa endpoint, doon po sa agency mismo, ready na po yung gusto niyang assistance.
If I may allow, sir, for one question. Sir, balik tayo dun sa budget. First come to worst na hindi ko talaga magpapita for example si Bibigyan or anybody from the office, the plenary po for the decision also. What will happen? Hindi wala man lang any representative from the agency. And you have the same stat po na retain the office to serve the budget. So, yung wala na.
I guess po, of course, mga neophyte kami dito. What do we know about tradition? But they say po, no, what we've heard is that this is the first time that it has happened. It is the first time na walang nag-attend sa committee. And it will probably be the first time also in the plenary.
So are you honest expecting that it could really happen in the plenary?
It might happen, definitely. But it was something to consider, at least for our point of view from the minority. That will not stop us from pursuing what we have to pursue in the budget. It will not that will not stop us from exercising our oversight. Our keen scrutinizing of the budget. Kami po, as President, actually, mabuti nga wala si Kong Zia ngayon. He would not ask me not to ask questions. Pero I told him outright na, as a friend, whether or not mag-appear po yung resource persons, I think you should really prepare, my friend, because we will be asking questions. And I think that's how it's supposed to be. Kasi pag sa plenary naman po, si Congressman Adjong na yung magde-defend, ready or not, whether may proper resources or not siya, whether he has the resource persons or not. We have to pursue it because otherwise, hindi po may papasa yung budget if we have to wait on attendance.
Is it too early to ask you if you for the budget?
Well, at least personally, ako, as I said earlier, I will make sure that the office is able to carry out. It's not up to me kasi. The office of the Vice President is a position under the Constitution of the country, and it's my duty as an elected official to make sure that that office is able to perform its constitutional mandate.
Ako sa tingin ko meron namang mag-a-attend. Hindi ko lang alam kung sino yung mga darating. Kasi I doubt if they would forgo na mawalan sila ng budget o mas slash significantly yung budget nila. Kasi parang wala ka ng interest sa position. Parang ayaw mo nang maging vice president. Parang ayaw mo nang maging head ng office na sinasaklawan mo kung hindi ka magpapakita. So, I'm still optimistic na they would be there. At least may representative man lang. Which is dapat naman na ibigay nila yon not only for themselves but also to the House of Representatives.
Thank you, Marisol. Marian Enriquez from Channel 5, you have a related budget question.
Sorry, clarify ko lang po sana, kanina po kasi sana yun. Tungkol po dun sa motion ni Kong Jill Bongalon before po tapusin yung hearing yesterday sa OVP, meron siyang sinabi na move to defer the termination of the OVP budget subject to conditions, either number 1, reduce the proposed budget of the OVP, and number 2, place the certain funds on hold until further discussions are held. Pero hindi po ba i-clarify yan?
Well, short after issuing a statement to that effect.
Thank you. Gablalo from Inquirer Online.
So, related na rin sa budget ng OVP. Kasi kahapon nagkaroon din, lumabas parang, if I'm not mistaken, first time na lumabas na may problema pala sa implementation ng magnegosyo taday ng OVP na parang 0.04% lang yung funds na na-utilize. Where do you think this could be reallocated? Kasi sinasabi nga na mukhang babawasan yung at tatanggalin yung mga services na duplicate. Where do you think this could be reallocated, sir?
Yun nga yung sinabi ko kanina, sir, na titignan talaga yung mga hindi nagagamit kasi sayang lang po yung budget eh. Now to where, syempre, I leave it up to the wisdom of the committee. Kasi hindi po ako member ng APRO. Pero I attend the budget hearings, of course. And actually, yung mga nakarang binabato sa House of Representatives, hindi naman kami yung gumagastos ng budget. Office of the Vice President naman. Sila naman yung may budget. Sila yung gumagastos nun. Ewan ko ba't parang ang bato nila is sa amin. Hindi naman namin budget yun. Eh kung may ganun lang akong budget, nako.
Hindi ko sa ganun.
Ang dami kong matutulungan. Sobra.
Sa mababa, sa pag-observe, parang 600,000 pesos out of 150 million pesos. Parang ito ba yung pinakamababa for across agencies?
I think we have to consider that it's under a bigger line item. So it's really hard to tell. But if you're going to narrow it down to that very specific program, it's a very low number. But we have to take into consideration the whole rin po, no? Kasi the line item was 1.7 billion. And I think that's from there, dividing social services. So it might not look as bad. Kasi other departments and offices, they would present their programs naka-line item talaga. So hindi siya lump na naitatago. So that might be why this is the first time that we notice this. It's a good thing na bring up ng COA na at least for that specific program, it speaks volumes rin. Ibig sabihin, although lumped together in one line item yung budget, yung budget, the program itself seems to be unimplementable. Baka it's not feasible. So yun. And as to where it's going to be brought, I think there should be a similar program in the DTI. But again, we don't want to preempt the committee as a whole, and we'll have to see po kung saan ilalagay. But definitely, I think consensus namin, all social services programs, kung meron, if it will be realigned, sa social services pa rin po punta.
Sir, just another question. Do you think the House is being placed at a conundrum? Parang damned if you do, damned if you don't. Laging masisita kung hahayaan yung budget ng OVP na magstay as it is, masisita rin kayo reducing it dahil yung attitude nga na pinakita ng Vice President. Ngayon, kapag binawasan naman, masisita naman din ng mga supporters ng Vice President na parang bakit binabawasan ng sobra yung pondo. Is it a problem for the House?
Again, I'll answer from my own perspective. Sa akin po, hindi ko na siya nakikita na problema. Kasi unang-una, trabaho nga po namin yon. Pangalawa, tinitignan po namin kung ano yung pondo na nagagamit nila, hindi nagagamit, utilized, underutilized. Yung supporters po, I don't look at it that way. Kasi nga po, again, we are bound by our own districts. Pero, kailangan po alam ng tao kung saan napupunta yung mga pondo na ganun. Kaya, ako lang naman to, hindi po issue sa akin yun, hindi po problema sa akin yun. Kasi, at the end of the day, dumaan ka nga sa pagsusuri, sa budget hearing, kung ito lang talaga ang deserve mo na budget, yun lang talagang may lalaan para sa opisina mo.
Well, kung tatanungin mo, kung meron man anong problema, well, we would have been helped if the Vice President chose to explain well her budget. Kasi like for ako, ang tanong ko talaga is ganito. Meron silang social services, but unlike a district or a party list, I don't know really how they were able to approximate na ganitong number of clients ang meron sila. Diba? Kasi you're a national officer. Paano mo masasabi na ito ang lalapit sa akin na mga namatayan, ito yung masasakit? I would have wanted to know the parameters. Bakit? Kasi that would have resulted on meaningful outcomes. Paano natin masasabi na yung programa may significant impact siya? Depende sa volume. Yun sana ang tanong ko sa Vice President. How were you able to arrive at those amounts? And how were you able to arrive at those targets? Kasi kung wala yung targets, wala yung amount, nanghingi lang talaga ng petty cash. Diba? Hindi programmatic. I trust that they have a programmatic way of determining the numbers, the targets, and the amounts. And that would have been the thing that I wanted to know. And in fact, that's a question that I raised during the first budget briefing. And ngayon, hindi ko alam. So, I would have to confer with the other members at trying to understand how we will be able to do it. These things would have been resolved kung naging straightforward at naging cooperative lang ang pangalawang Pangulo.
Sorry, in addition lang po, kasi it was already mentioned, I think that's a general theme, yung problema namin. I don't know if I can speak for everyone else, yung problema for this representation, hindi talaga programmatic yung dating with the utilization of the budget, and it would explain for a lot of the underutilization. For example, dun pa lang sa cash advance ng satellite offices and extension offices, where have you seen of all the district offices, equal po na binibigyan ng petty cash? Cash advance, 2.2 million. Pero obviously, Cebu is bigger than Siquijor. Diba? I mean, we have different demographics for different regional areas. Parang hindi talaga pinag-aaralan. And interestingly though, BARM was only 200,000. Yun na yung nag-iiba. Everyone else gets 200,000. And it's one of the most underserviced regions. So, yun, I agree with what Kong Jude was saying. Very unprogrammatic yung dating to the budget. And that's what we were hoping to help fix, precisely by having these deliberations. Yun po.
Saka last na, for the appreciation of yung mga kaibigan natin, yung mga nakikinig nanonood. Kaya po nandiyan ka para ipaglaban mo yung budget mo, saka kung ano yung ginagawa mo at ano yung mga programa mo. Pero kung wala ka, ganito naman yung paraan ng budget hearing, paano mo, kaya nga budget hearing, diyan mo ide-defend, diyan mo ipaglalaban yung budget mo na itong mga programa na to ay nakalaan para po sa pagserbisyo ng opisina. Kaya pag wala ka na doon, parang yun nga talaga, finorgo mo na na parang wala ka nang pakialam sa budget mo, saka yung proposed budget mo. Ganun ko talaga siya tinitingnan eh. Kasi yan yung taon po na ganado ka kasi ipipresenta mo yung mga gusto mong gawin, yung mga programa mo para sa susunod na taon.
Thank you. Sir, last two questions na lang from Ed Galvez of FEBC and Terence Grana from AAP Radio. Please kindly refrain from asking questions that were already asked. Thank you. Go ahead, Ed.
Sir, doon sa opinion lang na sabi ni BP Sara na si Speaker Martin at si Chairman Ko ang nagko-control ng budget, ng national budget. Ito po ba, sa palagay nyo, ito po ba ay taktika dahil nabigo siyang idepensa yung 125 confidential fund.
Nung bata pa ako, minsan nahuli akong kumakain ng wala sa oras. At sinisi ko, niluto ng maaga, nilagay sa mesa, hindi ko mapigilan ng sarili ko. Diba? It's very easy to point fingers. The issue here is not whether the budget is being controlled by so many people. The budget is being prepared by the executive, deliberated by the legislative. It's a matter of public record. Nandyan siya lahat. Now, utilization. Sinasabi niyang kontrolado ng execute ng legislative utilization. Bakit ilang porsyento ba ang sa school building na na-implement? 3% lang. Ang hina naman ng mga nagko-control nun. Pero hindi naman siguro yun ang issue eh. Ang issue talaga dito, accountability. Kung masagot niya sana yon, and obviously with her statements and her interview na release, part 3, hindi ko nga alam bakit hindi na sinabay-sabay. So baka bukas may part 4 at sa susunod part 5, talagang dinideflect po niya. Klaro po yun, di ba? Hindi naman yun yung pinag-uusapan niya yun. At she could have made better use of the time by explaining why, saying that in Congress, in front of us congressmen, and not before a television camera. Diba? Sana dito niya sinabi yun na kinokontrol. Kasi we would have asked, na ma'am, pag kinokontrol ng dalawang tao, bakit 3% lang ang utilization ng school building projects natin?
Just a short addition lang po. No? I mean, it's precisely why it's called the executive. Sila pa yung nag-i-implement. We're just here to exercise the power of the purse. You know, we're here to lay out the budget. Once it's submitted to the executive, sila na po mag-implement. So I don't know why there is now that, and actually to answer the question, parang paglilihis nga po. Kasi nga po, that's precisely within your area of jurisdiction. Your authority is to implement. Tapos sinasabi mo po, it is controlled and implemented not only by another branch, but by only 2 people of that branch. Sobrang, it's far-fetched po. And personally, ako, I kind of take that as an offense. Kasi we take pride in our work here in the House. And ako, one of my proudest moments was finding intelligence funds in the MMDA. Ako po nakahanap niyan. Ako po nag-request from MMDA. I worked hours on studying their budget. Tapos sasabihin, control lang ng dalawa. And there are many more of me. There were 300 of us here, and we all do our part. I see that, our congressmen. I'm very proud of them. We do our part here in the House. And to say that it's only 2 people that controls it, hindi po.
Fake news lang po yun. Sinasabi niya. Hindi totoo yun.
Thank you. Last question, Terence Grana from AFP.
Yes,
Ayan.
Mike, ito.
Ayan, dami mong mic.
Kasi maiiba tayo muna eh. Given their close ties to Pastor Kibuloy, how can former President Rodrigo Duterte, the caretaker of KOJC compound, Vice President Sara Duterte and Senator Bato de la Rosa, who both visited the KOJC compound, and the senator even investigated the police operations, escaped potential criminal liability for harboring a fugitive and obstructing justice. Shouldn't their actions or inaction in protecting Kibuloy be investigated for violating the law and neglecting their constitutional duties?
I guess I'll be answering po not as a congressman but as a lawyer. It's not within the purview of the functions of the Congress, and I think the DOJ will be well on it. But the way that we see it, kung talagang totoo po yung mga paratang na may alam po sila and then they intentionally hid them, there will be criminal liabilities for that. There you have obstruction of justice as a special penal law. You also have the special penal law on if the principal crime alleged against Pastor Kibuloy is human trafficking po, no? The human trafficking, if I'm not mistaken, has a specific provision also for those who harbor and aid and abet in the escape of yung principal. So by then, there's also criminal liability. And of course, we have the revised penal code in which, as a general principle, in any principal crime, nagiging accessory to the crime po for anyone who is harboring, aiding, abetting the escape of the fugitive. So, kung ang tanong po is it possible na merong criminal liability? Talagang possible po under our current laws. But whether or not they are liable, we leave it to the DOJ to properly see kung may probable cause and the proper cases will be filed. Yun na po.
Thank you.
Yung sa akin
sorry.
Yung sa akin po doon kasi it was under a public hearing. Nag-conduct po sila ng public hearing doon, di ba? Kaya ang immediate po na tanong ko, meron allowed, I don't know how the religion works, pero may adopted members po ba ang KOJC? So, are they representing or are they adopted members or are they defending or are they just conducting the public hearing as it is? So, again, na-explain naman ni Rog kasi yung legal side niya. So, ako din po, yun yung mga tanong na tinatanong ko na rin po sa sarili ko during those times, sir. Thank you.
Ako, honestly, gusto ko lang magpasalamat sa pulisya, no, for doing the hard work, to General Torre, I really commend them because I know how probably hostile that environment was, but there was no letting down and the rule of law. Madaling sabihin na issue to tungkol kay Pastor Kibuloy. Pero ako bilang, isa sa pinakamalakas aming advocacy sa Team Party List is child welfare and human trafficking. Sabi talaga namin, we should not forget that this issue is not about the perpetrator. It's about the victim. It's about those people who were trafficked, those minors who were sent abroad na pinag-asawa, yung mga biktima ng mga krimen na nangyari doon. Kung si Apollo Kibuloy man ang may sala dyan, nasa korte na po yun ngayon. At natutuwa po tayo na finally justice can, prevail.